Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another Q8 Pilot stream. It is 2100 hours local time here in Kuwait City, 1800 Zulu. I want to welcome you guys all to this live stream. We have with us today Rand, Alex. Welcome, guys. Glad to have you here. We have with us today Thrust Set Simulations. Welcome aboard. Yes, we are running the latest beta. Amari Joseph. Welcome, my friend. Thank you very much for your support and for being here this evening. James, welcome, James. EDDL, welcome, my friend. Glad to have you here with us. Trishal, welcome aboard. The Easy Pilot, welcome. Mika Morgan, welcome, my friend. Glad to have you here with us this evening. We have also with us today Air Kerberos 001 and Duncan. Good evening to you, my friend. Max loves A350, welcome aboard. Glad to have you here. And wow, Duncan, a member.
How are you today?
I'm doing very well, Duncan. Thank you very much for your support and for being a member for 30 months as a senior captain. Thank you very much for that. I appreciate it. Today, ladies and gents, we are going to be taking this Lufthansa Airbus A330-300, which is Laminar's default aircraft for a full flight from Düsseldorf, Germany to London Heathrow. And we are going to be taking a look at this brand new beta. So this is xplane 12.06 beta 7. And looking at the release notes, Laminar has indicated that they have fixed a problem with the weather not matching the METAR and some other issues that have been fixed. Very modest update for beta 7. But we're going to actually take a look today at whether this actually has been fixed or not. Now, the aircraft is, in my view, for a default aircraft, is actually a very good rendition of the Airbus. It has very reasonable simulation or depth of system simulation. It is by no means or stretch of the imagination a study level representation of the Airbus, but it's got some really nice details and there is reasonable depth for being a default aircraft. The sound set of this aircraft is, I think, done to a very high standard, thus creating a very immersive environment. So overall, a very nice aircraft to fly in the sim, especially if you're just starting out. It is an aircraft I recommend that you fly and kind of, get comfortable with the sim. And it's what it's, that's, I think, what it's designed for, if you will. James, hello, James Kirk. Welcome aboard. Good evening to you. And Rishal has been a member for 10 months as senior captain. Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate your support. A330 make it study level. I do know XWorks have.
Great work, Captain. Keep it up.
Thank you very much, Rishal. I appreciate it. Duncan, I think there are the guys at XWorks who've taken this and created a Neo version, but nothing in terms of the system. So the first thing I want to point out before we begin is I use this website to always check the weather, especially when I'm doing VFR flights in the sim. And it's called METAR-TAF.com. And the link to it is provided in the description section of the stream. Now, the reason I use this is it's got a really nice feature, and I'm subscribed, so I've donated to whatever, that I think, it's a good effort. It's available for free, but I thought it would, I would support these guys because I think this is really a great service. Now, they have a service here called live stream, and when you click that, you can get a live stream of what's happening right now at the selected airport. And if we look at the information here at Düsseldorf Airport, you'll see we have a temperature of 16 Celsius and the skies are clear, visibility more than 10 kilometers. There is no ceiling with a 2-knot wind. Current conditions are VFR. And of course, we have the favored runway. Now, this, by the way, does not indicate the runway in use. Just if you decide to use this, it is... whose birthday it is? Well, happy birthday. Happy birthday, my friend. So this only indicates the favored wind component, but not necessarily the runway in use at the airport. We are going to be departing today, runway 23 left. So if you look here, you know, we are looking at a very calm day at Düsseldorf. And you can see here, we see Kavik, which is cloud and visibility okay. We have no clouds whatsoever. But if we come to the sim, you'll see that there are clouds. And if we go to the map and we look at Düsseldorf Airport and look at the details. So let me just scroll down here a bit. Look at the sky conditions. 4,000 few, 13,593 scattered. This doesn't look, by the way, as a proper METAR. You don't normally get METARs like this. Visibility is 10, which is correct. And then it's indicating rain, which is not correct. Wind, light, and variable. Yeah, that part is probably correct. So it is very unfortunate that we're still with this version of xplane, they still can't get the weather right. That's very disappointing in my view. As much as I love xplane and love Laminar, they have got to get the weather right. And this is not the right METAR right now for Düsseldorf. So bearing that in mind, we are going to proceed with our flight. Very quickly, I know a lot of you guys have asked about the V-speed calculation that I use, and the link is provided for you in the description section. Let me show you very quickly the payload that we're carrying today. So weight and balance. So we are carrying 74,300 pounds in terms of payload weight, and the total internal fuel today is 30,800 pounds of fuel, which is a flight time of about 2 hours. And with that, we can hop into the cockpit and get things started. Q8, is weather feature in little nav map accurate? Sometimes it is. Most of the time in little nav map it is accurate. Sometimes it's off. It depends on the weather source that you select. MC Crewfish, welcome aboard. Most of the time the METAR is wrong than the actual weather. That is correct. And by the way, I have verified this also for Active Sky, and it's also incorrect. So they're both incorrect today. So there we go. Another thing that you might want to try out is that if you go to the settings, and these are my settings. By the way, I found that these settings are the best settings for the best performance. And even if you are, don't go, guys, max everything out. That's not the way you're supposed to run xplane. But I found that this significantly increases performance, much smoother when I put my rendering setting distance at high and the world object density at high. A lot of people have been sending me comments or emails complaining about the displays not being sharp, being blurry, and things like that. And that has to do with texture quality. If you move this down, then you'll get the blurry textures. So make sure that this is on maximum if your graphic card can take it, and that the rendering resolution FSR super sampling is turned off, which means that the sim will be rendered at full resolution without downscaling. And anti-aliasing, just you can tweak that for performance on your specific machine. But if you're getting blurry textures, that is a problem. A lot of people ask me about my lateral field of view. It is set at 80 degrees. With that, folks, let's go ahead and start things up here. We're going to come to the overhead panel, and we're going to turn on battery 1, battery 2, and as it is the Airbus philosophy is to all the Ys should be turned off. So with the APU battery on, bus ties, galley, and commercial, we're going to turn on the external power, and we're going to turn on all these switches to the on position. Crew supply is on, ground control is on, and we're going to turn on the GPWS system, ground proximity warning system. The flight control, again, we're going to turn all these systems on. We'll perform the APU test. Again, I like the fact that they've simulated these tests. Again, for a default aircraft, I think they've done a good job. The ADDONS are on, and nav lights Sorry, the nav switches to nav. And everything here looks good. All right, we're going to come down here to the emergency lights and arm them. We are already fueled, ready to go. So we're going to turn on the non-smoking sign and the fasten seatbelt sign on. Nav lights can go on. Moving up here, we're going to turn on the fuel pumps and the hydraulic system. And let's perform the engine fire test. We're going to turn on the... I'm not sure what these are. PAC system. It looks like something to do with maybe the oxygen. And we don't need to do anything here. Flight controls. This is the secondary system. Again, everything is replicated on aircraft, including the flight control system. Isolation valves are on. And the ventilation systems are all turned on. Excellent. So now everything is set here. And let's cancel the master caution. We're going to switch this to ARC. All right. And now we can start programming the MCDU. Opinion on the A330. Why the nose slams down when you land? It doesn't do that for me. Aviaton. Hello, Carl Childers. Welcome aboard. How are you doing, Carl? How have you been, my friend? Niels, how are you doing, my friend? Welcome aboard. Glad to have you guys. Aviaton, I just gave my my 2 cents on the A330 at the beginning of the stream. But yeah, it's not a bad starter aircraft for X-plane. That would be my verdict. All right, let's come here to the MCDU. And I'm going to make this bigger so you guys can follow along. We're going to go to the init page. Now, again, we can do diff strip. So this is the... let me go back here. No, it doesn't want to go there now. All right. So we're going to go to the init page. And we're going to select the departure, Echo Delta Delta Lima to Echo Golf Lima Lima, which is London Heathrow. And today we are Lufthansa 2574. And the cruise altitude is 32,000 feet. Perfect. So diff strip, this is init A. So we're going to go now to the flight plan. And for the flight plan, we can come to our Navigraph charts, and we'll put this here. Let's see. All right, there we go. Let me move this away and bring this here. Excellent. All right. So first, why is it not? All right, let me do one thing. Let me come to SimToolkit Pro. It would be easier to get the flight plan from SimToolkit Pro. All right, cancel that. Always on top. And flight planning. Load from SimBrief. Let's put this away for now. And we're going to go fly now. Operational flight plan. There we go. All right. So we are going to be departing 23 left. So 23 left is selected. And we're going to do so through the Zone 7 Tango departure. Insert. And then we are going to take Papa 64 Airway. Papa 64. And we're going to exit Papa 64 at Tenley. All right. And then from Tenley, Lima 980. Lima 980 to Pam. Papa Alpha Mike. And from Pam, we're going to fly direct to Abned. Abned. All right, so actually, let's do insert. And then we're going to come here and put Abned. Excellent. From Abned, we're going to take Lima 980 again to Logan. So let's say insert. Then we're going to go to Abned, Lima 980. and exit at Logan. Perfect. And then from Logan, it's the arrival into London Heathrow. So at London Heathrow today, we are going to be arriving at runway 09er left, which is this one here, through the Logan 2 hotel. Right, and the transition, if I'm not mistaken, is the LAM transition. And that we can verify here in our... Let me remove the weather here real quick. All right, so we're going to come to the arrival plate here. And if you see here, the end of our star is the Lima Alpha Mike transition. So let's select Lima Alpha Mike. And that is now selected. Insert. And now we can just make sure there are no discontinuities, which there aren't. Now that we are done with the flight plan, we can go to the secondary flight plan, which is not, it's ENOP, so normally we do that. And then we're going to go to the radio navigation, and we have everything set here. From the progress page, I noticed that you cannot set this, so if we write in arrival runway, so if we put in Echo Delta Delta Lima, and then 23 right, let's see if this works. It doesn't work, so it's not in the database. So, yeah, that is not simulated there. So, anyway, it's not a big deal. We're going to go back to init B. So, init Bravo, we're going to select 160 fuel, and the block fuel is set. Excellent. Now everything's done. The last thing that is remaining, and now is the performance. Now, for the performance, folks, we're going to use the speed calculator, the V-speed calculator for Airbus. So for that, we're going to come here and go to the performance calculator. We're going to select our aircraft, which is the A330-300. Unfortunately, it's not listed here, but that's close enough. We're going to change this to pounds, and we need the gross weight of the aircraft. So we're going to come here and go to edit configurations. And we are going to go to the weight and balance, and the total weight is 390,378. 390,378. All right, so 390,378 pounds of fuel. The CG we're going to pick for the 330, the optimal, which is 26. So 26. Flaps 1, that's fine. No NTIs required. Air conditioning will be on. We're going to get the METAR for Düsseldorf, and we are departing runway 23 left. And we're going to say get the METAR information. And now we have the QNH, the temperature, and now we can calculate. It says gross weight out of Y. All right, let's see here. All right, that's better. Value for wind degree is missing. That's okay, because the wind is currently variable. That's why we're not getting the wind. And now we have our V speeds. We have the flaps, flex temperature, all of that information. So 137, 137, 142. All right, done with that. Resume flight. 137. Oops. 137. 137. 145? It is 142. Okay, 142. Excellent. Transition altitude in Düsseldorf is 5,000 feet. And let's see. Does Zeebo have a Discord? I don't know. I don't think so. Flaps 1 up 4.5. So flaps 1 up 4.5. And temperature is 55. All right. And everything here is set. All right. We can put this on plan. Check our flight plan real quick. We're just going to make sure that everything looks legible. This is Logan, Lam, and this is the turn into Runway 09 left. Should be a nice arrival into London Heathrow. All right, everything's set here. QNH is showing 0, which is very strange. Why is it showing 0? So it's 1022. Very strange. You see the altitude there? Wow. Why is it doing that? The elevation seems to be off. Something is off definitely in X-plane. This doesn't look right. Yeah, after the latest beta, things are just not looking correct. So we're just gonna have to set this. We can't fly obviously with an incorrect QNH. So yeah, we gotta fix that. All right, almost there. All right, the thing is we have to do it for the other side. So what was it? 10, 12. All right. All right, here we go. QNH is now set properly. You should probably go to X-plane Discord if you think it keeps crashing. I'm doing well. Well, I'm glad you're doing well, Carl. Adam, can't you change the NAH in weather options? Not sure what that is. All right, so that is now done. We need to do the same thing on the other side. QNH. I'm not sure you can do it other than doing it in the aircraft. There has to be a reason. Yeah, X-plane doesn't really crash, but that's true. That's true. All right, so we just need to set our altimeters here correctly. Actually, let me set this to, there we go. And we'll be on our way. Another thing in this update, after this update 12.06 beta 7, I've noticed that you can now use zinc. I've turned it on. I've tried it. It did not give me the performance improvement that I got previously, but at least it does not crash the sim now. So, all right, so the QNH is now set. All right, 1012. And we're still getting so many clouds when the weather is absolutely clear at Düsseldorf. Okay, so everything is set here. We are ready to go. We're going to turn on the APU. We'll just give it a second here. APU door is open. And let's start the APU. We're going to turn on the beacon lights on. Alignment is complete. Everything else is looking good. All right, flaps are open. Actually, flap open should be when you normally turn on the APU master switch. It takes about 10 seconds for the flap to be open, and should not open right after the EGT starts rising. At least that's in the actual Airbus. But yeah, that's all right. Hello, Abdul Abbas. How are you doing, my friend? Welcome aboard. I have a question. Please answer me. I have X-plane 12, and I fly with A330, but when I put the AP, the speed goes down and underspeed and up and overspeed and AP turn off. Please help me. All right. Now, I know what your issue is, and if you follow the stream today, you'll be able to understand what is going wrong. And hopefully, and I've had the same issue when the first time I flew the aircraft, but I'll point out what the issue is before we take off. I'll show you why it's happening and how to fix it. I got my Tobii Eye Tracker 5 last Tuesday. I'm loving it so far. It's very good. Yeah, it is very good. All right. So let's see. The APU is available. APU bleed is on. External power is off. The beacon light is on. And we are now ready to push back. So let's do that. Better push back and start push.
Ground to cockpit. Please show me where you want to go. Ground to cockpit. Toes driving up.
All right. This beta from Laminar reduces the amount of crashes without a doubt, but there is a persistent issue that still hasn't been fixed. Is since xplane 12.06 beta 3, I believe, when you exit xplane, it almost never exits gracefully. There's always a crash that says the Sims stopped responding, and then I have to just say end the process to exit xplane. I'm not sure if you guys are having the same issue, but this is a persistent issue. Toby's great for both, yeah. Q8,
Okay,
is
all
it
doors
paid
and hatches are
mod?
closed. Ready to connect.
What
Next
is
parking
a
brake.
paid mod? The aircraft? No, this is a free aircraft that comes with xplane. All right, what it wants me to do is set the parking brake. Parking brake is already set. All right, here we go. Look, this weather is just off completely. And you've got a wet surface here as well, which is, again, completely off. Yeah. All right. Well, we'll try to ignore that.
Now connected and bypass pin inserted. Release parking brake.
All right, let's release the parking brake.
Starting pushback, and you may start the engines.
All right, let's go to 32. 32 is set, and we're clear to start the engines. Engine mode selector to ignition start, and we'll begin with engine number 2. I still like xplane a lot, and I think personally I'm not too bothered with the fact that it doesn't use, like, you know, real photo textures and things like that. But from a simulation perspective, I think it is very fulfilling to fly in xplane. Is there any mode to improve in this general airframe? There aren't any mods, no. Not at this time. Right, looking good. Let's start the clock here. Excellent. All right, we have a good start. Let's start engine number 1. All right, 4.5 up. Is set. Auto brake max. We're going to arm the speed brake. All right.
Operation complete. Please set parking brake.
All right, parking brake set. In a minute, guys, I'm going to be letting you
Disconnecting
know
code. Stand
what
by.
we're going to be doing in terms of a giveaway celebrating the 70K subscribers here on the channel. And I thought about something a little bit different from, you know, what we're accustomed to here on the channel. I hope you guys like it. So I'll let you in on that in just a few as soon as we depart. The QNH value is jacked up. Look at it. Yeah. It was looking at like it was 0. Everything was 0. QNH was 0. But it looks like xplane METAR is completely crapped in this version, in this beta. All right. Let's do the flight control check. Full up, full down, full left, full right, neutral, pedal full left,
disconnected and bypass pin has
full
been
right.
removed, and signal on the left. I'll see you next time. Have a safe flight.
All right, thank you very much for your service, and we are now ready to go. We're going to turn on the taxi lights, and APU bleed is off, APU master is off, the engine mode selector back to normal, and flaps, let's do flaps 1. The trim is set, auto brake is set, and we are good to go. We're going to put the terrain on ND here on the first officer side, and we'll use the weather on the captain's side. Everything here looks good. This is, of course, not simulated, so parking brake is released, and off we go. The sounds, without a doubt, are very nice on this aircraft. And being a default aircraft, I think Laminar has done a really good job with this A330. All right. By the way, I use Traffic Global for AI traffic in xplane, and in my view, it is the best AI traffic program available for xplane today. Traffic Global is available on the Just Flight website. Look at those wings, guys. Just lovely. I mean, with all the drawbacks of xplane, I think it is just an excellent flight simulator. All right, here we go. And that is 23 left, our departure runway. Oh, looks like we have a new member, don't we? Oh, Spooled Up just came in with a $4.99 super chat. Thank you very much, Spooled Up. I appreciate it. That's very kind of you, sir. All right, 23 right is a little further down there, and this is 23 left, our departure runway. According to the, let's do the takeoff config, and cabin crew, cease for takeoff, please. All right, let's turn on our landing lights, runway turn-off lights, strobes, and taxi light to takeoff, and we're good. Just look at how beautiful the strobe lights are. The overall representation, I think the lighting engine in xplane, personally, by the way, I like it more than MSFS. That's just my personal preference. You don't have to agree. But for me, I feel that it's more realistic, especially during nighttime. All right, we are lined up. A little bit of forward pressure on the stick, and here we go. Manflex 55 SRS and runway. $80 knots, 100 knots. We ease off the pressure. And we let the plane accelerate. we didn't turn on the clock. B1, rotate. And positive rate of climb, gears going up. What a beautiful sight. Right, here comes our turn. All right. Now, before you engage the autopilot, for the gentleman that was asking about the problem there, make sure that you hit this. You see this dot here? Once you see the dot, you are good to engage the autopilot. So let me bring this back to climb. All right, thrust climb is set. And now if I engage the autopilot, everything will go as planned. Make sure that you see the 3 dashes here, and you see the dot on your altitude. If you don't see this dot and you engage the autopilot, it will go into this kind of a mayhem of movements, like climbing, going down, speeds goes down, speeds goes up, autopilot disconnects, and just the aircraft goes crazy. So that is what you need to do. And often when you take off, this will actually turn off for some reason, and that is more than likely a bug. But yeah, just make sure that you push this up with the mouse. See how the arrow is pointing up? Just click it once. You'll see the circle here. Once you see the circle, you'll see the 3 dots. That means LNAV and VNAV are engaged. And then once you do that, then engage the autopilot. Never engage the autopilot before that, because then it will, take the aircraft into this crazy mode, and it will start doing things on its own, and it will just be very unpleasant. Oh, it doesn't turn aggressively anymore. No. So I think our flaps. All right, so flaps are up. All right, we can clear that. And we'll put this on the status page. There we go. And we're climbing 5,000. Barrow to standard on both sides. All right, there we go. Transition altitude. And we continue the climb. Hello there, Kenny. Welcome aboard. And we have Shadow Schrape. Welcome aboard, my friend. There is the wind condensation for you. One of the things I really like about X-Plane is, again, the simulated reality. And this is something that happens in accordance with weather conditions. So it doesn't just always happen, but certain temperature and certain weather conditions will induce the condensation of the wing. Overall, the sim is starting to look really good. The clouds still need work, but they are definitely getting there. Major improvements in the last couple of beta updates. Still not where I think it should be, but I'm glad to see that they are working on it and they are active in working on it. I just really wish that Laminar would be a tad faster in delivering changes to the sim and focus really on, the important things for the community. So one of the things I've noticed with Laminar at 10,000 feet, let's turn off the landing lights, runway turn off lights, taxi lights, and we'll let the passengers roam around the cabin as they wish. We continue our climb to 32,000. So one of the things, folks, that I have noticed, and by the way, you guys know that I am a big supporter of X-Plane. I'm a big supporter of Laminar. I have a lot of respect for everyone at Laminar and the development team. That said, I must say that, sometimes I get really disappointed with Laminar, especially when it comes to those updates. Sometimes it seems to me like they lose focus of what's important. And for the community, generally speaking, you know, they keep complaining about the weather not being accurate, the cirrus cloud representation not being accurate, and all of these things are, you know, they require due attention in order to be fixed. Yet you see, like, the beta update coming out that something with the SR22, you know, some FADAC on the SR22 wasn't working, and they fixed that, and that's okay. I mean, I'm of course, I want them to fix, you know, everything that's wrong with the sim. But in all honesty, I don't think that Laminar's got their priorities right in terms of what the community does. And I think they do very little, to be honest, in listening to what the community has to say. I know, for example, the ATC was one of the big things. I know they made improvements based on what the community wanted, but I'm sure that today, if Laminar runs a survey, asking the community what is the feature that you'd like to see improved the most in X-Plane, I think the community, without a doubt, will select weather in a list of 5 or 10 things. They will probably all select weather, or it will have the majority of the responses from the community. How do you know how large the team at Asobo is? The team at Asobo is quite large, Carl, and they have the backing of Microsoft. And so, yeah, I mean, it's very clear that Asobo has a lot of people that work because they are with Microsoft. They have unlimited resources. No. So they don't have unlimited resources, that's for sure. But I know that the team at Asobo is quite large. They're definitely much bigger than X-Plane. So, Miko, hello my friend, welcome aboard. Is the Laminar A330 flyable? I haven't played X-Plane 12 in so long. I'm about to start simming again. Well, Miko, here is a testimony for the viability of the A330 for X-Plane 12. So it does work. It's very flyable, and it's got reasonable depth of, you know, system simulation, considering it's a it's a default aircraft. Here's a look again at the wing. So, TFK Langs Gaming, welcome aboard. Sorry guys, can't watch at a luxury, very bad internet. No worries at all, my friend. You take care, and we'll see you next time. Enjoy. KM356 Khalifa. They also said they have 500 people on the team. That's why they made 2024, obviously. Oh, okay. Got you, Rand. Got you. That's a lot of people for, 250. That's a pretty good sized team. I don't think GSX will ever come to X-Plane, no. So yeah, the thing is with Laminar is that definitely the team is a lot smaller, without a doubt, and again, I don't know how things move from like the Discord or from the guys responsible for social media to the development team or to Austin himself, but yeah, I mean, they need to start paying attention to what the community wants. And if you ask me, I just want this weather to get fixed. It's just very annoying not to fly in real weather. I know they've resolved the something to do with the thermal, weather thermals in this beta. They've addressed that, but they seriously need to get their act together in terms of the weather. It's they've never got it right in X-Plane 11, and it looks like so far they haven't gotten it right in X-Plane 12. But the feeling of X-plane, I like more. Ground handling and the feeling. Absolutely, Magnus, and welcome aboard. I worked there for 11 years. Oh, wow. Cool. Eagle 1. Perhaps Laminar has the lid on their next move. Maybe the team has exhausted the platform engine it's been utilizing for some time and could be investing in their efforts into the future. I don't know. I hardly doubt that. Because I think the underlying, the baseline of X-plane is, I don't think is going to change anytime soon. Maybe X-plane 13, we'll see something different. Oh, that's cool. Hello, Fly Lilo. Welcome aboard, my friend. Glad to have you here. You know, Carl, every day, in every stream, I just learn how resourceful you are. You know, I didn't know that you were like a real-world pilot. Then, you know, I came to know in one of the streams. And, you know, you've got different type ratings on different aircraft. And now we know that you've worked at with Microsoft, with the Microsoft's. That's pretty cool. In fact, you know, back in the day when I was in college, I actually was. I worked for Microsoft on a contractual basis, and it's going to sound like really. Like I was a product tester, and this was not a really fun job, but it paid really well. So what you used to do is once you sign up and you become, you know, part of the team, they will send you all sorts of software to test. And every time, you know, you finish testing, you know, you submit your report. They've got like a portal, and you go there. You know, there is a specific product key that you enter, that this is the product you're reviewing. And it looks like they give different versions to different people. And some look at this now. This looks really terrible here in front of the aircraft. The clouds look just terrible. And it used to sound really nice because it said like a product analyst, and it was nothing but testing. You know, there are different software before it goes to the public. And so we used to fill in those reports with bugs and things like that, and then we send them, and we used to pay all right. So, how it's Active Sky working, X-plane now. Haven't started for a while. All right, so here's what we can do, folks. We can start Active Sky. We've looked at X-plane weather, so I'm going to start Active Sky now. All right, and it's starting up. Yeah, it's a fun stream today, so we'll try different things, and we'll see how things look with. All right, so now we have Active Sky, and we're gonna just come here and change this to manual weather. I'm gonna clear everything here so that we start fresh with Active Sky, and now we're just gonna let Active Sky do what it needs to do. Obviously, that would throw the airplane altitude and speeds off because the weather has changed in the sim. But let's see how things pan out with Active Sky. So now we've switched to Active Sky. Special Forces Aviation Unit. Woohoo! All right. So let me guys tell you a little bit about the giveaway and what I plan on doing. Based on what you guys have told me last time, you all are preferring a giveaway that is focused on hardware rather than software. Now, the hardware costs a lot more than software, obviously, but I decided that I'm going to do that for you guys. And I'm only going to include in the giveaway hardware that I have personally tested over the years. And so something that I can attest to its durability and to its reliability, as well as compatibility with different sims. And what I've decided to do is I'm going to actually do 3 separate giveaways. The first giveaway is going to be directed at those starting in flight simulation. So it's going to be a complete pack. It's going to combine a throttle quadrant, a rudder pedal, as well as a flight yoke. This whole package is going to be the first giveaway. I still haven't finalized the list of all the items, but it's coming very soon. Short final welcome aboard. Does Active Sky have smooth weather transitions, or it's very sudden? It's actually pretty smooth. It's not. I haven't found that it's sudden. And as we fly now with Active Sky, I find it to be a little bit more. Obviously, it looks like the weather is still having. Let's check the weather here real quick. So if we look at customize, yeah, we have all the winds there loaded, and that's more than likely the correct weather. If we look at, here, let me bring up the aircraft. Let's see where we are. And now we can, with, see, now we have something to verify this with. We are at 32,000 feet. So let's change 32,000, about 30. So this is actually pretty accurate, and xplane was completely off, showing, a lot of clouds. But according to Navigraph charts, again, the weather radar, we can see that there aren't any clouds in the current vicinity at our current altitude. Let's go to 34,000. Again, at 34,000, there isn't really much. Actually, there is a little bit, and we can see it far in the distance here with Active Sky. So Active Sky is definitely reporting and depicting better weather than xplane, which again confirms the very first video that I've done comparing the two. The fact still remains that Active Sky has better or more realistic, more accurate weather than xplane. So back onto the giveaway. The first giveaway is going to be test user. Welcome aboard. Glad to have you here. The first giveaway is going to combine a complete pack for a beginner flight simmer. It's going to comprise of the rudder pedals, a flight yoke, and a throttle quadrant. And this is something that I hope somebody who's just starting with flight simulation can benefit from. Again, there are going to be separate giveaways on separate days with separate links. The second giveaway is going to be for somebody who is probably been simming for, 3 years, 4 years. It's going to be top notch. I'm going to select what I normally use, and I have a variety of flight gear that I use. So I don't use one particular yoke. There are, for different situations and different aircraft, I use different equipment. But I'm going to try and as much as possible to create a pack, maybe a Boeing or an Airbus pack that would fit all. Maybe I'd stay away probably from Airbus and Boeing and maybe pick something a little more generic, but something I know that will work for GA and will work for airliners just the same, and that you guys will enjoy it. That is going to be the second giveaway. The third giveaway is going to be aimed at content creators, those who are just starting with flight content creation. So I'm going to be adding like a mic and the Elgato Stream Deck, and maybe I'll add in a webcam, depending on, because I haven't really tried that many webcams, and the one I do have I don't really like that much, but there is one I'm waiting. As soon as it comes, it should arrive in the next few days, and if that, then I will include it as a pack. So just to sum up, the giveaways are going to be total of 3 giveaways. They're going to be separate. The first one is going to be for somebody who's starting with flight simulation. It's going to include the full pack of a rudder pedal, throttle quadrant, as well as a flight yoke. And then on giveaway number 2, it's going to be for the more advanced simmer, and it's going to include the same. So it's going to include rudder pedals, it's going to include a flight yoke and a throttle quadrant. And last but not least, it's going to be a giveaway for content creators. By the way, by all means, if you're a flight simmer, you might want to have, a mic. You might want to have the Stream Deck, Elgato Stream Deck for use, and we'll see if we include the webcam that you might also need for things other than streaming. So this is what the giveaways are going to be, what the giveaways are going to be about, and hopefully I'll finalize the first giveaway in the next few days, and then you'll see a dedicated video for that, and with all the information on how to enter the giveaway. I hope that will be something useful for you guys. That third giveaway sounds like a great one for me. Yeah, Trust Set Simulations, yeah. And I hope that this can really bring more enjoyable experience for you guys in the sim. United States Air Force has its own rivalry. They have what are called essential personnel and nonners, former being aircrew, maintenance stocks, and of the special forces. Oh, interesting. Can you show the approach on the map? Can you show the approach on the map? You mean here on the aircraft or with Navigraph? On the aircraft you can't, but you can with Navigraph. All right, so here's a look at the wing view here. If you guys haven't joined the Q8Pilot Discord server, be sure to join for some excellent support there if you ever need support. Very friendly folks, and I'm very happy with the growth of the Discord server. A bunch of very helpful guys there. Alex, Carl, Rand, Stan, all of you guys, thank you very much. There are a few more people now really helping out. So, hello, Will. Welcome aboard, my friend. The Stream Deck with X keypad is awesome for flight sim, not just for streaming, and the dev of X keypad is really nice and responsive. Yeah, Mark from Rudder is Stick and Rudder Studios is a very fine gentleman. I've been working with him for a very long time, and I finally had the pleasure of meeting him at FS Expo. We went for a drink, and he's just a great guy, very resourceful. And by the way, he does this out of passion, so he doesn't really depend on this as a revenue stream. So he does all of the things that he does for the community for fun. He does it out of passion. One thing to note in X-Plane's Airbus is we're approaching, by the way, top of descent. If you go to performance and you go to the next phase, you'll see that everything here is already filled up for you. So the QNH, temperature, Mach wind, transition altitude, which is kind of nice for somebody who's starting with flight sim, but I kind of prefer to put this information myself. Of course, you can put always the DH here or the MDA, and if you want to do this, you can always come to your excellent Navigraph charts, and we can go to the let's see, where is it? You can come here and select runway 09er left, 09 left. There we go. And we can consult the decision height here. So there's DA and DH. DH is 100. So we can put that in. And we're pretty much done here. So I think it's nice that they've included, they populated this automatically for, for people who are just starting with flight simulation. I think it makes sense. ASXB will need to be purchased again for X-Plane 12. Well, If you have missed the period of the free upgrade, then yes, you'll have to purchase it again. So there was a grace period for those who were who had the xplane 11 version, and Active Hi-Fi, the company that makes Active Sky, has made a grace period for you to upgrade free of charge to xplane 12. But then you can either use xplane 12 or xplane 11. You cannot use both. So if you pass that period, then yeah, you'll have to. It's a brand new buy. Are you using flight yoke for stick with this Airbus? No, I'm using currently. I'm using the Alpha flight control by Honeycomb. That's correct. The grace period ended in May. That is correct. I just made the transition from xplane 11 to xplane 12. A lot of my scenery and utilities like ASXB does not have upgrade options. Is that because xplane 12 is still in beta? Kenny, there are a lot of reasons for that, I think. By the way, I don't know where is our top of descent. Yeah, I think it's there. Okay, so top of descent in 78 miles. All right. So there are different reasons for that, Kenny. One is that it's exactly what you said, which is the developers do not want to make changes and then get a big surprise. Whoa, Laminar has changed this, and now you have to go and change your add-on, and you have to change your scenery, and this particular API will not work. So that's one reason. But I think the second reason, which is more important, and it's important to be considered by Laminar themselves, is the fact that there is a huge transition or huge people who've left xplane. A lot of developers have left xplane altogether and focused all their efforts on Microsoft Flight Simulator. The reason being, of course, is that this is, Microsoft Flight Simulator is where the money is. And the usage of xplane, all the stats are clearly indicating that the growth of xplane as a sim has either remained, either plateaued or has actually gone down. The fastest growing flight sim today is Microsoft Flight Simulator, and that is a fact. And I don't see this changing, by the way, unless Laminar does something drastic. So a lot of the big names, even some of the big names, have left the xplane scene and moved to Microsoft Flight Simulator, which is a shame in my view, but that is a fact. So I have all the hardware already, but my PC is a bit behind. Time's ready for the APC Grand giveaway in order. Eagle One, I will tell you one thing about that. I have done two. I beg your pardon. I've done one giveaway with the computer parts, and there was a friend of mine who I ordered a graphics card for, and on both occasions where I've ordered an expensive computer part, although I've done it through Amazon, it actually has not reached the intended recipient, and the parts were stolen, and there was no way for me to recover the money or know where that part is gone. So I have decided to not order any computer parts to be shipped to a person other than myself. It works for me. It works when I order for myself, but when I order for others, for some reason they get stolen. And I hear this really funny wishy-washy stories from Amazon and from UPS and USPS, and everyone is just, they're all in it, I think. And believe me, I know what I'm talking about. First time I ordered a CPU, I think a person has won a giveaway. It was a CPU, and he actually received the box. So I actually ordered it, and I asked that it's wrapped with the Amazon special wrapping. And when he received it, he sent me a picture saying, look, the thing was wrapped, but when I opened the box, there was no CPU inside. It was empty. So somebody stole it, obviously. And the second time I did order something very expensive, I'll tell you, it was a 4090 graphics card, and I ordered it for a friend. And when I received a notification that the part was delivered, I asked my friend if he's received the card, and he said, no, it hasn't arrived. And after investigation and police reports and all of that stuff, we could not know where it was, who actually took it. But it was never delivered to my friend who I've ordered the card for. So giveaway with computer parts is a big no-no. I'm not going to do that again. Flight sim peripherals and gear, that's okay. I've never had any issues with it. Hey, Scott is here. How are you, my friend? Welcome aboard. Here is a cinematic flyby for you guys. So I think for the past 2 weeks or so, we have done nothing but X-Plane. Yeah, we've been just doing all X-Plane content. There's a bit of stuttering there. You can see the weather. This is, by the way, how, for those of you asking, is it sudden? So this is how Active Sky actually injects the weather. So it's not sudden. You will see the changes happening in the sim, relatively slowly, but you can definitely detect the change in the weather. It is abrupt, but it's not very abrupt, I must say. All right, so let's take a look here. We are 37 nautical miles from the top of descent, and we're almost there at London Heathrow. We've been flying for about 32 minutes now. Where are we flying? We're flying to London Heathrow. Computer parts probably get taken at the delivery facility after Amazon dispatches it from their end. Yeah, I think that's what happens. Just a bunch of thieves there that know what are the contents of the of the package, and they just steal it and sell it probably in the black market. So, and yeah. I came back to X-Plane 12 this month since they fixed issues with the AMD GPU drivers, and I haven't looked back at MSFS. Yeah. Could someone invite me on Discord? Guys, can you help put in the link for the Discord? Q8, you try offline weather preset. You can see clouds look hundreds times better than they look in live weather. Cloud shapes have a bug happening to live weather, unfortunately. Yeah, that's what it looks like. Thanks for that. We are flying in with Active Sky now, so things are looking a lot better. It actually looks pretty decent. And by the way, this is as per the, if we look here, all right, so now this is actually matching what we expect to see. We are at 32,000 feet, so we expect to see clouds now. And this is actually looking, I love Navigraph charts, just really the best thing since sliced bread. We can see now the weather, the cloud cover here. So this is pretty accurate, what we're seeing here in this sim. All right, 23. Let's reset the MCP altitude and let's take a quick look here at our chart. And we're looking at 2500. So let's set 2500 here. All right, 2500 set. Hey Q8, saw you over in Captain Canada's stream. Is it just me, or is this cockpit very dark and hard to see? Maybe just explain thing. It is a bit dark, I would have to say. Yeah, it's something called adaptive vision that Laminar uses that makes everything so dark. But this aircraft is extra dark, I think. I don't get the same issue with the towless aircraft, but this one definitely does look a little bit dark. When I buy on Amazon, the delivery guy takes a picture of the parcel on my porch. Was there any pic? No. So sometimes they do this, sometimes they don't. It's not always the case. In those two cases, they did not send the picture, and by the way, did not even provide me with a signatory. And when I told them, you know, that the package was not delivered, please provide me with a signed receipt, they refused. Yeah. So something very fishy about that whole order. God, it was expensive. But yeah, unfortunately it's gone. Unfortunately, I cannot take it to court because I'm here in Kuwait, and the delivery address is in the U.S. I really can't do much other than fight it back with my credit card company. And then when I filed for a dispute through the credit card company came back and said, well, Amazon has provided us with sufficient evidence to indicate that the product has been delivered, and now we're going to charge you $60 for a false, for a false claim. Imagine that. So, yeah, on top of my misery, I was charged $60 by the credit card company. Yeah, unfortunately, things like that do happen. So, yeah, look, we have the weather radar here. Yeah. All right, those clouds look pretty decent. This actually looks pretty nice. Yeah. By the way, guys, I do apologize for the lack of content lately. I know that I haven't been as resourceful as I normally am. And the reason being is work. It really has been very, very stressful. And today I was actually, thinking about maybe skipping the stream. I think we are at top of descent, so let's begin the descent. But then I said, no, I haven't been doing much for the community. Let me just kind of gather my strength and do the stream. Right, we've begun the descent towards London Heathrow now. And let me extend the speed brake to make sure we don't just overspeed. Have you seen Time Models Oslo? Yes, I have. It's actually pretty good. Time Models, actually, today, in my view, is one of the best scenery developers for xplane. Would Would you say it's worth to upgrade Aspects if you missed the... personally, yeah, I think Active Sky is worth it. You're most welcome, Rand. Thank you for your support and with the rest of the guys and for everyone here on the Q8Pilot channel. I appreciate it. Yeah, Boundless is also very, very good. Yeah, I agree, Alex. They're excellent. I do not like the sceneries produced by Oxonus or Oxonus, something like that. None of the sceneries they've created I've found to be, you know, high in fidelity. They always have issues and they just don't look very good. That's my view. By the way, we San Antonio for xplane has been released, and we will be streaming it in the days to come. Last stream you mentioned you would provide a note about the ortho you use. I don't think you did. I know you don't like auto ortho, but oh well. The thing is, the download link was provided by Vertical Sim, and unfortunately the link has been removed by the owner. So the link is no longer there. I guess they don't want to create, you know, a bandwidth issue. So, Brandon Beery, welcome to Commercial Pilot, my friend. Thank you very much for your support. Welcome to the Q8 Pilot family of VVIPs. Thank you very much for your support. I appreciate it. Boundless are great, yeah. Boundless and time models. Both are great. Welcome, Brendan. Yeah, Boundless prices are very good. I agree. All right. We continue our descent. And here's a look at the outside. Now you can see, since beta 120606, or beta, sorry, 1206 beta 6, you can see the cirrus cloud representation is much better now. Here, you can see it here. Look at this scene, guys. This looks fantastic. Look at that. It looks phenomenal. That is like a screenshot material right there. Look at that. Flight sample quality is great, but after they dropped the product on the market, they became quiet. They don't update. That is very true. It's just they don't get any better than this, only with the age like a fine bottle of wine. Yeah, absolutely, Eagle One. Bertram asked, do you use weather add-ons? I am using Active Sky, but it doesn't add any clouds or anything. It doesn't change the artwork of the clouds. It only changes the depicted METAR, so it will inject different you know, METARs at different altitudes, but it will not change the cloud art of the sim. Yeah, this looks pretty nice, I have to say. Thank you very much, Carl. Appreciate it, my friend. And guys, Carl has just shared with you all the Q8 Pilot Discord. All right, looking good. 19,000. I think our speed is slightly above, so let's extend the speed brakes. Get our speed down a little bit. Now, one thing you'll notice here again, if we wanted to do like the fix, you can't do like each. Okay, let me show you this. Better to show you. If I go here and I say fix information, and if I enter Echo Golf Lima Lima, and then we have 209 left, and enter that here, it says not in database. So you cannot create fixes for the for any waypoint. But you can do it for London Heathrow. So if I put London Heathrow, then it works. I can put the radial of 090 here, and then I can put the 10 nautical mile radius. So that works. And now if I come here, and if I zoom in and show you here, you can see the circle, but it's actually around the center of the airport, not the center of the runway. So you have to be aware of that. Doesn't really matter too much. From a situational awareness perspective, though, you need to make sure that you're aware of this. Why is this? There we go. Let's switch this to 40. And yeah, we have the weather here. All right, we're coming to 16,000. Looks like there is a restriction at 16. Just a note for Discord, if you already have an account, do not click the link invite. Instead, paste it in your Discord client. Otherwise, it's a mess. Huh. Also, Laminar does not listen to dev that well anymore. I agree there. That I have to agree with, yeah. I've heard this from several developers. See, in this business, it's very funny because the world is changing. So at work, for example, there was a time when IT was, for example, information technology, generally speaking, was looked at as the god of the industry, right? Because those are the smart guys that know how to program things, and they have the magic wand to make things happen. And then there was a paradigm shift where the business started having the upper hand, and they are the ones that dictate to IT what needs to happen. And then all the developers and the programmers have become more of, quote unquote, for the lack of a better term, servants of the business community. Then, with the advancement of technology and with the complexities introduced and with the fast-paced technological revolution, things started changing again, where business started labeling IT as the business enablers, right? So we became enablers. And now, business enabler is not even the term, because now the technology is really driving the business. It's the value creation that business look for, and so for a company, for example, like Laminar, it is not. It should never be the case that it's what Laminar wants to do. It should be what the community wants, because we're the driving force. So they are in the model where they should adopt that they're the enablers of flight sim wants and do not wants. Or the do's and don'ts of flight sim. So yeah, they need to start listening, and they need to if this was like a company, they would need to listen to the business people, and the business people in this case would be us. So yeah, I sure do hope that they do something a little different. They need to change. They need to change in the way they conduct their business. They need to change in the way they're developing the sim. They need to change in the pace at which they are developing the sim. And Donnie, hello, my friend. Welcome aboard. Is this aircraft default in X-plane? Yes, sir. It is default. If Zebo tomorrow decides to drop his then X-plane 12 is over. Yeah. Hey there, A330-300, member for 15 months. Thank you for your support, sir. Virtual Sky Check, welcome. If Zebo drops out, someone else is doing something new. So, has been always. Well, thank you very much, sir. I appreciate you dropping by to say hello. Hello there, Morgus. Welcome aboard. Jamal Jones, they seem to have added some people to the Laminar team. Hopefully. All right. We are still at 16, and we are continuing through Lima Alpha Mike. FPS is very good, by the way. And here you can see the clouds there. This is a really nice scene there. Here, let's do another cinematic flyby. By the way, if you guys like cinematics and you like to do those kind of things, you can always do something similar with X camera. So here, if we come and we go to File, gee, I forgot. Let me see here. Category. All right, so there is an option here that says Create Flyby and Create Orbit. Okay. So we're going to say create flyby, and I'm just going to call this flyby. And you can change your camera attack heading, initial heading in meters, all of that good stuff. And we can say create. Now, if I go to flyby, and we close that, now this is going to create a flyby. So now you can create this cinematic with just a few clicks and changing a few values, and you're able to have a flyby. And you can do it from different angles. How about that? Right? So that's how you can create a flyby. And by changing the values, you can... Right, where speed is going, we're decelerating, so we'll probably begin the descent shortly. Alright, so we're still at 16. We're just respecting the current restriction. Yeah. There are the restrictions there. Let's switch this to 20. No, that's fine. And then another thing you can do is you can go to category and say create orbit. And again, we're going to call this orbit. And you can tweak these values, minimum height in meters, maximum height in meters, continuous use level camera, and so on and so forth. You can play with this, say create.
Camera is
and
safe.
Now if we go to orbit, there we go. Now that's an orbit around the aircraft. You can change the values again to create a nicer, but this is the default settings. So you can just tweak the values to, create, whatever you like. And there are, of course, a lot of things that you can do with the, with X camera. All right, so we are at 16,000. And let's take a quick look here. Speed 220. We should begin the descent shortly. In fact, what I'll do is I'm going to initiate the descent. There we go. Let's extend the speed brakes. Why is the trim wheel oscillating like that? I mean this one here? I think it's alright. Right, landing system is on. Ah, 3 minutes ago, sorry. They seem to have somehow fixed the artifacts that you get when going through the clouds. They're not as bad now. I'm sorry, what was your question? Question. I am considering purchasing the Thrustmaster Boeing Edition throttle and yoke. I already have the Thrustmaster Airbus Edition. Do you think it's worth to have both? So you're buying the throttle and yoke. All right. So to be very honest with you, the throttle and yoke, the Boeing pack, gives you a different experience than the Airbus pack. But if you already have the Airbus throttles, I would recommend the yoke, the Thrustmaster yoke, the Boeing yoke, is absolutely worth it. It's nothing like the Airbus stick from Thrustmaster, which is, by the way, good. I like the quality of it. I reviewed it previously on the channel, and I think it's a very well developed unit. But the Thrustmaster yoke is the Boeing yoke by Thrustmaster is just one you have to. It's a no-brainer. You have to have it. If you're a flight sim, you have to have it. All right, so we're at 10,000. We're going to turn on the landing lights and runway turn off lights. We're going to actually turn all the lights so you don't forget them. We're going to turn the seatbelt sign on as well. And we need to grab the altimeter. So if we come here, actually, and go to conditions. This is not right. All right, let's just put Echo Golf Lima Lima. All right, that's more like it. And the altimeter is 1009. All right, looks like it's raining. The yoke is something you have to get. It's just absolutely brilliant. The Boeing yoke by Thrustmaster is one of the essentials, as I say. It's just brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Right, looking good. There's an aircraft down there. There it is. All right, we're almost there now, folks. But agreed, LR are arguably better coders than communicators. Absolutely. I would probably agree with you, Alex, there as well. Yeah. You could argue that, but not much of it. The Boeing pack by Thrustmaster is just really a very well-developed product. One of the best flight sim gear I've seen. So I have them. I have the yoke. The yoke I've given away actually to a friend of mine, but when I had it, it was just phenomenal. I love it. I don't regret giving it to my friend because it got him started with flight sim. But I definitely miss it. Well, the aircraft is following the restrictions, that's for sure. All right, we're approaching the center fix for runway 09 left at London Heathrow. MS care more about money than the consumer. One would think by now MS would release its Sidewinder force feedback. Yeah, you know, Eagle One, Microsoft actually does a lot for the community, I have to say. They are, you know, they definitely are in business to make money. But they do quite a bit for the community as well, I have to say, in all fairness to them. Right, here's the turn towards London Heathrow. The aircraft's doing brilliant in terms of following the restrictions. So the VNAV, LNAV, our calculations are done very well and are extremely well implemented in the aircraft. Looks like the rain has subsided. Right, speed check, and we're going to go to flaps 1. And we can now, let's see here, do we activate the approach phase? We'll give it just a little bit of time. Maybe it will activate, but we need to set the... Alright, so it's 10, what was it, 1009. Alright, 1009 is set. That's the 10 nautical mile ring that we've created from London Heathrow. So we're still looking alright. Okay, and we're going to set the auto brake to medium. Arm the speed brake. Excellent. Looking good. And we can go to approach. Approach phase activated. Wants us to extend the speed brakes, obviously. Approach phase is activated, so we need to reduce the speed. Alright, we're looking good. And there is London Heathrow ahead of us now. Alright, we can see the glide slope needle moving down. We have the runway in sight. Speed check. Flaps 2. Right, landing gears coming down. And speed check, laps 3. And there is London Heathrow ahead of us now. We are on the glide slope and the localizer. Cabin is ready. Cabin crew seats for landing, please. And speed check, flaps full.
Speed 2000.
You can extend the speed brakes, Alex, to slow down the 737. And if you are at a safe speed, then yes, you can definitely deploy the landing gear. Right, speed brakes are set, armed, and we are now, or the ground spoilers are armed, and we are clear to land runway 09 left at London Heathrow. Right, we're looking good. This looks really, really good, I have to say. And the scenery is by Time Model. All right, 1,000 feet, and autopilot disengaged my aircraft.
Light slow. Light slow. Light slow.
100 above.
Light slow. Light slow. Light slow. Light slow.
Minimum.
Light slow. Light slow. Light slow.
40. 30. 20. Retard. 10. 5.
And ladies and gentlemen, welcome to London Heathrow. Brakes are hot. What happened here? We can see a lot of 380s there. Thank you, Drishal. Thank you, MC Crewfish. Alright, we're gonna make a turn here. And the good thing is there are a lot of empty gates here, so we can just... Right, we're gonna go and park. You know what? Before we park the aircraft, let's do a quick replay. All right, let's hope that it doesn't break. So far, so good. No, please no. Oh, come on. Well, it's not gonna work, guys. I'm sorry. X-plane is gone. The stream is back, but something has gone wrong with the... Something's gone very wrong with X-plane. So, yeah, unfortunately. Yeah. I've never had this replay issue. I wonder what caused it. I don't know, Drishal. I've always had this issue with the replay no matter what I do. But anyway, well, folks, this brings us to the conclusion. I'm very sorry that, we faced this technical issue, but I want to thank you very much for being here this evening. And I will be doing a review of the Piper 28 by B-Flight Air in the next couple of days. And also be sure to stay tuned for more information on the giveaway here on the channel. Until next time, please take care of yourselves and each other. And I will see you all very soon. Thanks for tuning in this evening. Stay safe and bye-bye for now.